to decorate your holiday home or give as gifts. She's got those back there. But it's 11 days, starts November 5th through the 15th. We fly into Venice and then have time in Florence. We go down to Assisi and spend some wonderful energy in Assisi. Then we drive down to Sorrento, we do the Amalfi Coast, Pompeii, and then end up in Rome for the last couple days. So if you think that you might like to join us, we'll be on a coach. The price includes the hotels, many of the meals, a driver, a coach, airfare over and back. So there's a lot that from LA, yeah, or from Phoenix if they want to go from Phoenix. So that's the thing. So, changing times. The time change is always interesting, isn't it? And if we remember, we feel good. And if we don't, we feel a little on edge, right? And one of the things that sort of occurs to me is that even when we think about time, it's sort of that sense of wanting to beat the clock. In American Sign Language, the sign for time is... And that's the sort of we feel. Have you ever been with someone and they're going... because they have someplace else they want to be and they're looking at you like, yeah, come on. Yeah, and so there's that energy that we have around time that is not always helpful for us. It leads to stress. And it's interesting, in Greek, in the Greek language, they have two different words for time because they see two different aspects of time. So the first one is chronos, clocks, thinking forward, propelling, phases of the moon, all those things that we keep track of. So that's and with this one, the picture that they have is their god Saturn. And if you think of the picture that we have of old man time, that's sort of the picture they have of Saturn. It's like and like time is running out for him, isn't it? And it's similar to the Grim Reaper. It's a very similar image that they have. In Hindu religion, they have Kali, the god of destruction. And when I think of the god of destruction, I think of the second law of thermodynamics, which basically says energy dissipates, right? And that's Kali, right? Kali just comes along and says, you think this is good? Boom, blows it up for us. And so that's that sense that we have of time usually. But the Greeks have another word for time. It's kairos. And it's a sense of deeper time. It's a sense of harvest and that ripeness, which this time of year we think of that. But it's also the critical time, the right time. There's a poignancy to that time. The opportune moment, that sense that we have sometimes, this is it. Where we sort of feel, this is it. And we're in that moment right there. But it's also sometimes unsettling experiences that this kairos time points to this. And of course, we don't like to feel unsettled. But Spirit needs to unsettle us sometimes, doesn't it? To sort of move us through the blues, to move us into a different experience, because we sort of get comfortable in a way of being that's not always helpful, that's not always productive. And we sort of do the same things over and over again because that's what we're used to. And Kairos time is also about that movement, as the Daily Word talked about, the transitions that happen, so that we're flowing with life and not just in one place. And so that's a part of that Kairos time that's there. One of the examples they use is in weaving. If you have a loom, that the Kairos time is about that moment when you send the shuttlecock across. And then send it back, right? Because if you do it the wrong time, you're not going to get the pattern that you want. So it's being in the right place at the right time. So it's sort of drawing back out of that sense of linear time and being present in the moment. Being present in the moment. Like that. One of the other things that's interesting to me in studying about time in different cultures is in the Hindu culture, they have what they call the yugas, that are different times, and these are hundreds of thousands of years long. And so we think a couple thousand years, that's a long time. Well, they're thinking in hundreds of thousands of years, and these cycles that happen. And it sort of stretches our mind. I remember when I was first coming to Unity Church in Houston, Texas, we had a wonderful guy that wrote a song, and the punchline of his chorus was, and 10,000 years from now, then what will it mean? And so thinking about what's the impact of what we're doing, how much of an impact is it really going to have, it stretches our mind. And so my invitation today is for us to switch from the chronos time of trying to beat the clock, to a sense of kairos time. And another way that I was thinking about is from secular time to spiritual time. And so we're moving into a sense of not being driven by the circumstances of life and the people around us, but settling into an awareness that we're connected to that living presence. We start with that, there's only one presence and one power in the universe, and in my life, God the good omnipotent, but then we're so busy trying to make things happen because we're not sure this is going to work, right? and so if we could just settle in, there's only one presence, there's only one power, it is love, it is abundance, it is joy. I'm already a part of that, right? We're already a part of all that one presence is. And so we don't need to make things happen. We just have to pay attention to what's already unfolding. Like in the meditation, the light's already there. We may not be aware of it, but it's always there. God doesn't turn the light off and go, oh, no, you're not going to get my light right now. That light's always there. It's always there shining for us. And so that presence is always there for us. And I love this. This comes from 2 Corinthians. Paul writes, now is the acceptable time. And it's usually translated, now is the day of salvation, but that Greek word that's translated salvation means to deliver, to heal, to rescue. Now is the moment for us to realize that everything that we need is already here. It's already present. Now, this is it. We don't need to go looking for some other time. Well, by next Thursday, I hope that this changes. Now, right now, it's all here. And the key is, what's mine to do? What does Spirit have for me to do? And so here's the affirmation I came up with. I'm centered in this infinite and eternal moment. Let's say that together. I am centered in this infinite and eternal moment. So infinity and eternity, what else do you want? Right? Let's say it again. I am centered in this infinite and eternal moment. And for me, this is what I believe that one of the ways to understand the symbol of the cross. That there's infinity and there's eternity. And remember, the sign for God in American Sign Language is this. So it's like this is, bringing our awareness out of the head that's always worried and concerned and trying to figure things out into a deeper sense of that presence of God within us, so that we can experience that infinity that's theirs for us. And so sometimes it's just slowing down and working into that. So my acronym for today is NOW. So the N stands for notice what shows up. And this is so important because many times something shows up, and because we think we know what it is, and it doesn't seem that important, we sort of set it aside. Oh, that's not important. That person isn't, they're just going to say the same thing that they always say. And so it's important for us to be present to what shows up. Because again, if there's only one presence and only one power in the universe and in my life, then what shows up is a part of that one presence. What's the gift that this has brought to me? And so it comes and we say, well, that's certain, they're not a gift to my mind. Well, maybe they are, but you've been missing what the gift is because you're so caught up in validating your judgments about what's wrong with them. Rather than saying, all right, God, show me why they're here. Because they keep coming back. And they'll probably keep coming back until I figure out what the gift is. And once you figure out what the gift is, then your experience of that person, that circumstance, whatever, will change, because all of a sudden you've got more information because you didn't just get locked into your judgments. There's something more that's working in your life. So notice what shows up. And again, the daily word, it says, as I've grown spiritually, I've learned to flow with life's transitions. How many times are we resisting? Oh, no, not that. I don't want to deal with that again. Rather than, there's a flow that we can have. And I know that even during the most challenging changes, God remains a constant presence. And so I love, and the last paragraph says, moving willingly and gratefully through my transition deepens and strengthens my awareness of God and myself as a divine being. Moving willingly and gratefully through my transitions. So, can we be grateful for that stuff that shows up? That extra bill that showed up, or because the electric bill was high, or whatever it was. Can we be present to that? An experience in our body that wasn't what we wanted to have happen, at this time. Can we be present to and say, okay, what are you trying to show me? What's the information? Because the body can't use words to communicate what it needs. And so it uses physical sensation. Sometimes it's just a stiffness or a soreness. Sometimes it's a real pain. In some part of the anatomy, right? That's trying to get our attention, that it wants something more. And so when we're living in those times that seem like not enough, that this isn't the way that I want it, to notice what's there and say, all right, God, what do I need to know about this? What is this about? What is it trying to teach me? And so that we can move out of that sense of hurry and stress, and to recognize that when we get these signals from the universe, that there's something there for us, something for us to learn and to understand. Another thing that I like to think about time in this now moment, that again, our Western sense of time is linear, isn't it? In many of the native cultures, their sense of time is circular, isn't it? They go through the seasons, through the months, like that. Well, what if you combine those, the linear with the circular? What you get is a spiral, right? And so one of the things that I think of is that when I'm going through something and it seems like something has shown up again, it may not be the same, it may not have the same name of the person, but it's the same experience. So I say, okay, so I've come back to this. What didn't I get last time? Or what didn't I give last time that now I have an opportunity to do it? And so then I'll move on to other things, but then I'll come back many times to another experience, and I go, golly, this person just looks like my chemistry high school teacher, who I didn't like that much. Why is this person showing up for me? And it's like, so I can be present, rather than going, oh no, I've seen this personality before, I know what they're all about. No, you don't. No, I don't. And so be open in a whole different way. And to realize the other part of that is that, that evolution always advances. Always advances. Now, it looks like sometimes it's going backwards, but usually what it's doing, it's going backwards to gain some momentum so they can move forward again. And many times what we notice most is the going backwards part. And then what's going forward, we're just enjoying it. We're not really paying attention to the fact that we're going forward. It's just those moments where, oh no, I got to do this again. And so just to be open that there's this sense that evolution is always moving us forward, always moving us into greater good. And if we're not paying attention to that greater good, then we're missing it, right? And we're not able to utilize it in our lives. So be present to what shows up, because there's a richness there, there's a blessing there, there's an evolutionary process that's unfolding. So that's the N of now. The O of now is open to the moment, which is another way of saying almost the same thing, right? But again, there's only one time, now. That's the only moment we have. And it's interesting, listening to psychologists talk about that most of the stress that we have comes from living in the past and reminiscing, ruminating about how things could have been, should have been different, or projecting into the future. And because it's not what we have now, there's stress in that. And sometimes what we project into the future is what's not going to work, because we're basing it on what we've seen from the past. And so we're sort of doing this dance and forgetting to be in the moment. Because in the moment, and there's a wonderful Buddhist teaching, and they ask us, so right now, are you comfortable? Are you okay? For this moment, do you have enough? For this moment, is there peace? It's like, why not stay in this moment? Because that's where everything is, to live in that. Yeah, stay here all week, okay? Yeah, we can do that. So, and one of the things, the other thing I've been reading a lot about is multitasking. And what, again, doing studies on multitasking, what they find is multitasking doesn't work. Because instead of really being focused on one thing and getting it to the end, we're doing a little bit of this, and a little bit of that, and a little bit of that. And again, we're stressed because we got all these things we're trying to do, and none of them are complete, and it's like, I've got so much to do, rather than saying, I'm going to be working on this. And maybe we're only going to work on it 15 minutes, because that's the best for our attention span, and we're each different in that. And then, okay, I'm going to take a break. I'm going to reward myself for staying with it for 15 minutes, and then go back to it in a way that's going to be helpful and productive for ourselves. So recognize that that's a gift that we have there. What I found too, many times when something does not go well, it's because I really wasn't present to it. I'm sort of in a hurry to get it done, and then I had to go back and do it again, because it really wasn't what it needed to be. And so if you're present with that, we can complete those things in that way. In American Sign Language, the sign for now is, so it's, you can, and actually they do it with their thumb, sort of the hang loose. But it's like just bringing the awareness down to you, and everything's here. That's the way that I see this. Everything's here in this moment. And so again, I've been using that just to help me do that. And so as we're in this moment, we pay attention to what's happening around us and within us. Because again, when we have those moments of stress, when we have those moments of anxiety, it's simply because we've forgotten that there's only one presence and one power active in the universe and in my life. If we remember that, why would there be any stress or anxiety? And so that energy there is just our body's way of saying, hey, you, did you forget? Did you forget that God is here? Oh yeah, I forgot. We've been thinking all kinds of different things except that God is here. And so be present to that in a way, and be open in the moment. And what I found is then that times, that chronos time just sort of falls away, just falls away into this present. And recently I had a deja vu experience. And what I realized that in that moment, my past and my future collapsed into this moment. And I felt connected to something. Because usually what didn't feel connected, but all of a sudden it collapsed into this moment, which is what it is. And so if you're someone who believes in past lifetimes or future lifetimes, they're all happening right now, right? So of course they can impinge on this, but you don't need to go back to them or go forward to them. Just be present to what Spirit is calling you to do, and that'll do the work that needs to be done. Yeah, because people do the past life regressions, and everybody was a king or a prince or a princess, or nobody was a slave. Nobody was a craftsman. Everybody. And so, but again, maybe that's because we're all connected, right? There's only one presence. But as stuff comes to us, we only need to deal with it, how it's showing up now, working with that, and being present, working through that. And what I really believe is that God will reveal what I need to know in this moment. Because again, if there's only one presence, God is here. God is here, God is out there, God is within, God is around us. And so every moment there's an opportunity to connect with that and be open in a deeper way. And I love there's a Bible verse. No, I didn't put it. It's in 1 Corinthians 4:5. And it's my translation here is sort of a combination of a couple other ones, but it says, "Do not judge too soon before God remembrance." Something happens and we put a label on it. It's good, it's bad, for me, against me, whatever. But this says, don't judge too soon before you remember that God is present here in this moment. And it says, secret things will come to light. Balance will be revealed. Balance will be revealed. And so again, if it doesn't feel like it's balanced, take a moment to just go and say, all right, God, what do I need to know? Show me. And Thich Nhat Hanh talks about washing a teacup as if you were washing the baby Buddha or baby Jesus. you would wash it in a different way, wouldn't it? There would be a sacredness in that act. And he says, really, if you can bring that sense of sacredness to everything that you're doing, then all of a sudden you're connected with everything, right? Because this is a sacred moment. This is a sacred act. And I love the old Zen koan, before enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. After enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. So on the outside, to someone else, it doesn't look any different. But if you're enlightened in chopping wood and carrying water, particularly carrying water, if you ever carried water, water is heavy. Yeah, and it's easy to start complaining about how heavy it is. But can you be present to its heaviness? Can you be present to the service, if you don't have running water, that what water does for you and maybe for the community that you're a part of? Water is life, right? And so be present to those tasks. Be present to those chores. Be present to those difficulties as if it's a sacred moment, and what you're doing is sacred, and how you're present, and the thoughts that you have. What's the energy that you're bringing to this? Instead of reacting, what's the energy that you bring? It's a whole different experience for us in life. So now, notice what shows up, be open to the moment. The W is waltz. And it's interesting, most of our Western music is in 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. And sometimes it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, that's got a different energy to it, but it's still in 4. But we have waltz time in 3. And again, there's different ways to do it. So think of a 6 count. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we could do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's a 3, right? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But think of it this way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1. Different energy, right? Even, I love one of my favorite jazz songs is Take 5. It's in 5/4. And most Western jazz that uses 5/4 uses that 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Do, 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 do. So it's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. I learned from an indie musician that you can also do 2 and then a 3. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Very different energy than 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1. And so if we can have a sense of lightness about how we go through life, that it's that someone else, maybe they're boom, 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 he's got to get this done, got to get it down, and we can say, no, I'm going to waltz. I'm just going to have a different sense about what this is. And to recognize that and then it shifts our energy, because they talk about, to the beat of a different drummer, right? And because we've got a different sense of what life is about and how it's working. Another way to do that is to walk backwards. Because again, you're using your muscles in a different way. And you have a different awareness about what's going on. You have an awareness of what's behind it, because you got to pay attention to where you're going. And so it's a wonderful exercise at moving us out of the sense of regular life, and to be able to encounter and experience life in a very different way. And another part of this is that, a very traditional part of meditation is to switch to what they call the observer mode. So you can be aware that you have a body. Breathing is an easy way to do that. You can even be aware not only of your heartbeat. If you tune in, you can be aware of the pulse of blood throughout your body. It's an amazing experience. We can also be aware that we have feelings. We can be aware that we have thoughts and not be in the midst of our thoughts and be aware. And so when we practice that, there's a moment that comes with that when we're aware that we're aware. We're aware that we're aware. We're aware, I'm aware of my body, but I'm aware that I'm aware of my body. I'm aware of my thoughts, but I'm aware that I am aware. And so once we touch that moment of awareness and go deeper, we find that what we're aware of is this infinite presence that we call God, Spirit, whatever we call it, doesn't matter. But it helps us shift into that sense that then I can operate from that platform of awareness rather than the platform of what's going on out in the world. Because again, in most cases, that second law of thermodynamics is active. Things are going to hell, right? Because that's the material world. But we're not just material beings. We're spiritual beings in a material experience. And we get to bring that energy, that love, that joy. We get to bring that, not waiting for it to happen. Oh, if I only had someone. Well, you are that someone. And you've got you. So you can bring it. You can bring it to where it is, what's going on in life. And a key part of this, too, is to risk messing it up, to risk failure, to risk disappointment, to risk frustration. Because, I forgot the step for the waltz. How does it go? Which foot goes first? Just practice, and it'll come, and you'll find your way of doing it. It'll be different that way. And really, a lot of it is about those spaces between thoughts, those spaces between breath, those spaces between activities to see. In that moment, there's something there, that richness, that allness of God is there right for us in every moment. And so I invite you to think about shifting from getting things done to making a difference, to bringing a blessing, to bringing a gift to life, and living with a sense of connection. Instead of feeling pressed by time, have the sense that you're surfing or boogie boarding through time. Because we have the sense of time is moving, right? Well, if time is moving, we can let it propel us rather than think we've got to catch up with it. But what a different way of thinking about how we are. And so this sense, as we sang earlier, now are the showers of blessing. Can I have this sense that now are the showers of blessing? And through all the different changes, all the things that happen, whether we remember the time change or not, whether we remember to change the oil on our car at the right time, whatever it is, in this moment, can I find myself connected with all that Spirit is, with all that life is, and feel that sense of joy. In the book of Revelation, near the end, chapter 22, there's a wonderful image that John writes about. He says that there's a river of water of life, like crystal, that pours out of the throne of God. And there's a tree of life on each side of the river that bears 12 different kinds of fruit for the healing of the nations. And so I invite you just to entertain this image that here, where's the throne of God? Within us. And out of it is coming this river of life, like crystal. It's radiant. It's radiant. And on each side of it is a tree. We can think of, with 12 fruit, we can think of the 12 powers, if we wanted to think of it that way. But there's this blessing that's that bears fruit all the time for the healing of the nations. And the nations are all the different categories and stuff, all the different areas of our life. That's what the nations represent. But here's this energy. And again, we identify it as life and joy and peace and love, and but it's just ready to pour into every part of our life that's there. So I invite you to hold on to that image. And then I want to finish with this. This is from the Hopi tradition. It's called This is the Hour. You may have heard it before. So I just invite you to close. I don't know if I I didn't slide for this. So here's the Hopi elders speaking to us. You have been telling the people that this is the 11th hour. Now you must go back and tell the people that this is the hour. And there are things to be considered. Where are you living? What are you doing? What are your relationships? It's just being present, right? That's what they're saying. Are you in right relation? Where is your water? Know your garden. It's time to speak your truth. Create your community. Be good to each other. And do not look outside yourself for the leader. This could be a good time. There is a river flowing now very fast that is so great and swift that there are those who will be afraid. They will try to hold on to the shore. They will feel they are being torn apart, and they will suffer greatly. No, the river has a destination. The elders say we must let go of the shore, push off into the middle of the river, keep our eyes open and our heads above water, and see who is there with you. And celebrate. At this time in history, we are to take nothing personally, least of all ourselves. For the moment that we do, our spiritual growth and journey comes to a halt. The time of the lone wolf is over. Gather yourselves. Banish the word struggle from your attitude and your vocabulary. All that we do now must be done in a sacred manner and in celebration. We are the ones that we've been waiting for. So let's take a moment in prayer. Dear God, we give thanks for this moment, for each now moment, recognizing that the fullness and the richness of your presence is with us, to be given, to be shared, to be brought forth as a blessing, as a healing for those around us. We let ourselves be mindful that we are one with your presence, one with your blessing, and that we are filled here and now and always with all that we need to be your blessing. Thank you, thank you, thank you, God. Amen. God bless you.